And so we come to the next option, Shadow. I'll close the settings for Edge and deselect Edge here, so that I can judge precisely what Shadow is doing. Having both together isn't always very good, depending on the settings. In this case, it wouldn't look too bad. I'd still like to just set this up so that the shadow is visible. I will also make the film color non-transparent. This is now more or less the standard setting, and so the text throws a shadow in this color. It looks pretty good. For a shadow, it is perhaps not typical though, as a shadow would usually be darker. So I will choose a different color here, normally the black color, and I can select it directly here. Now I have a standard shadow, and we can see what happens when I change the transparency of the text. In doing so, the shadow is also available through the text, which can give a somewhat interesting effect. I'll remove it now and show some of the further options that we still have available to us for shadows. We have the possibility to adjust the width of the shadow using the hard width contour. A shadow is, however, normally soft at the edges, and so I am more likely to use soft width to give the shadow a soft contour. It would also be quite useful to give the shadow some transparency so that it doesn't cover the background. In so doing, it usually looks better when the background can be seen slightly through the shadow. With the horizontal and vertical parameters, I can adjust the position of the shadow, so I can decide where the shadow should be placed. Of course, the values I choose should be related to the text size, so that the shadow increases the readability of my text by offering contrast to the background. If I position the shadow too far away, this can be somewhat irritating, so we should find the correct distance bearing in mind the type of font and color. Now I could decide if I wish to use Edge and Shadow simultaneously. If I wish to do this, I'll activate Edge here once more, then it can look a bit overloaded, and so I will go into the parameters for Edge and adjust it a little bit. A soft edge to the text contour is something I don't really want in this case, as we already have the shadow, which has a soft edge. And also, the contour width is something I would like to bring back in somewhat, so that it is not quite as thick as the text contour. Of course, this depends somewhat on how large the text is displayed in the image, and where it is positioned. I should also take care that my lines are not too fine, as under certain situations on certain output devices, they may not be clearly visible. So I think a width of 5 is an excellent standard setting, as this should be clearly visible on most output devices.